She
on
normally
that.
ships
Yeah,
everything.
spray weekend.
That's just really been hard for us. So that's nothing I do.
Right.
But she's easy to
I'll look
clear.
at it.
She's one more order that goes to the doctor. She's going down to the office.
You don't deliver on UPS or?
It's gold medal. It's actual gold medal company.
And they've done that for.
They come.
They
They usually come to Madison every Monday.
I had both FedEx and UPS order today, but they didn't have it. Got all mine are
Yeah,
actually.
that's what the gold medal is. And they've changed it. They used to deliver on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I can't remember she said Monday or Tuesday. So
Okay.
you should be getting them. And I ordered your time for her today. They should be here this week to do.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that. Thank you. Absolutely.
Just good as it's.
Joe, good.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the April 4th Parks Board meeting. We'll start this with the approval of last month's minutes. Can I get a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
So last month's minutes are approved. The next part is the claims for the last month, and I know Carla's gone through. Do you have any additional questions from,
No, I don't,
okay.
thank you.
Did you have any questions from?
No, I was listening to Carla, she did great.
Awesome. So can I get a motion to approve our claims from last month?
I make a motion to approve the claims.
I will second.
Okay, on to new business, golf pro report. I believe that's with Mr. Gallatin.
Yes. All right, believe, is this on? Believe you have some docs in a packet they got you. I was gonna start with, the, golf outing, contract or agreement. Basically, I, took this from my previous employer. This is what we used, in my last golf course. Couple of points on here, that I, wanted to bring up, didn't know if, and I'd asked a couple people this, supposedly there hasn't been a precedence of, renting a park for the entire day, besides the golf course, but, on the top of the golf outing pricing front page, I have an option to rent the golf course for the entire day for $4,000, and a weekend day for $6,000. Just wanted to bring that to your all's attention. I know it's a little bit different animal here than I was before. For-profit daily fee, municipality. Wasn't sure whether everybody was in agreement that we could close the city park for a day for a certain fee. So just want to bring that to your attention. The other thing on here that as I was going through this, the clerk's office was having issues with gift certificates. My last bookkeeper we had some issues with deposits for an outing. So on there, basically somebody books a golf course for an event. I've got on there that they would require a $300 deposit to reserve that event for the day and a $500 deposit. The issue with the clerk is holding monies for futures for future service, and I'm not sure that I want to kind of discuss this with the new clerk and see if there's policy on that to be able to hold funds for somebody for a future service to be rendered. I don't think they have a way in their books to account for that. So just two things on there. Does anybody have any questions about the, I don't know if you've had a chance to kind of look at that agreement. The second page is pretty much just, that's my worksheet to kind of go through, get contact numbers, dates, numbers. I did talk to the cook about the menu. The other thing on here was the outings are required to buy all the food through us and all the alcoholic beverages through us per Indiana State Code. I was allowing these events to bring on their own non-alcoholic beverages. So if they wanted to go to, Walmart and get waters or Gatorades or whatever, I was going to allow that. But the food and the alcohols is gotta go through us, so that was one change that I made in this contract. Any questions?
Do you have a time frame of, you have until this date to reserve?
No.
So like a month advance, week advance, or?
Yeah, no, pretty much the only thing is I'll, talk to groups and I'll book out through the end of the year. The pricing on this goes to September when we kind of go into winter rates. But really the only deadline, that I do put in here is, a quoted number of players. So if somebody wants to book for 100 players and then they show up with 50 players, that could be, you know, an issue as far as lost revenue. So I do require, I believe it's 2 weeks in here to give a more firm date as far as number of players for an event. But as far as advanced bookings, no, I try to just keep it inside the calendar year. I booked, an event out into July right now, so, really I allow people to book, but when we get closer to the date, I wanna get more firm numbers so we don't, you know, block off a whole chunk of times and then only use a portion of them. So try to make as much availability for, you know, outside play as I can.
So if the minimum is just to say 100 players and they show up with 50, does that in the contract allow you to let walk out play or?
Well, in the contract, it allows me to bill them for 100.
I'm just wondering, how was it received at your previous place to close the course for a day, you know? I mean, I'm sure that's not loved by some of the steady golfers.
No, and there's some verbiage in here to where it takes 60 players to get a shotgun start. Also, it has verbiage in here to allow me to work extra play if you've only got 60.
Okay,
So
that's what I was talking about, yeah.
60 players in my mind is a 9-hole shotgun. That reserves the other 9 where I can work another group in and play side by side with them, or other ways. So yeah, I do try to cover myself to make sure we're maximizing the golf course.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? I should have covered this stuff earlier. So.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to go over here, something I'm trying to institute at the golf course is the Sunrise Tournament Series, which is basically an event held by the golf course once a month, starting out with a 2-man scramble. The $75 per player, there's the flyer there. We have not gotten a whole lot of sign-ups for this yet. I think I've got 8 teams right now. Hopefully they'll get more. We posted this on Facebook. I've had it on the billboard sign out front. I've also made informational signage going all the golf carts. There's a message center so it's open to the public. Members do get a $15 discount. There had been some little bit of pushback from season pass holders getting in open events like this, so that's kind of to accommodate people that have purchased the season pass holders. And I tried to make everything as self-explanatory on that flyer as I could. Any questions on that?
Do you have a minimum number, like will you have it with 8? I'm just saying, what's your cutoff on that?
Yeah, Ken Williams came to me today and showed some concern about and he wanted to give a donation from Royer Manufacturing, and he's going to guarantee $500 cash prize for first place and $250 cash prize for second place.
To
try to get some more interest in it. And once again, I'll kind of play off the sign-up sheet. Right now I've got, I think, 2 hours blocked at 9 a.m. on that Saturday. If the event looks like it's going to be smaller, I'll back down on that. The other thing is we are providing a meal for the players afterwards, but we've got up to 7 days to modify that number too. So to make sure we don't overbuy on food for the event. So hopefully that'll get some traction. But right now it's a little slim, but we're still 2 weeks out on that event. Any questions on the 2-minute scramble?
If I'm gonna publicize this on my own social media, can I go ahead and say
Absolutely.
$500 for first prize?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
like
and that,
that's
and he just,
official.
he came to me this morning with that and said that he's gonna donate the $750, try to entice some more people to play.
That is
But
very
yeah,
generous.
we've posted in several different places, and I encourage all the networking, to post it other places as well. The other thing, my last thing here, well, kind of junior golf, is my last topic, but I got a couple on this. I had a meeting with my, First Tee regional rep, and, we got I've been kind of dragging my feet on this because of staffing issues, but he kind of talked to me, and I know I'm gonna be fully staffed by the middle of the summer. So right now we've posted 2 different 3-week clinics, one in June, one in July. First Tee, I kind of put a little description on the flyer there. It's not as much about the mechanics and swing mechanics of golf as far as developing some good ethics with the juniors. Integrity, honesty, sportsmanship, things like that. Golf course etiquette is one of my big things. $75 per youth. There are also, one neat thing I was wanting to do with this is get some of our graduated or not graduated, but the high school golfers now. I've got 3 of the upperclassmen. They require a 6-to-1 ratio with these classes. So I'm using some high school kids, paying them $300 per clinic, and they're going to help me out. So trying to get the high school kids to pay it forward a little bit and help out with some of these juniors. First Tee program has a website, so we post it on there. The next closest First Tee programs are in Batesville, Columbus, or in New Albany. So there's a little bit of a void down here in the south part of Indiana on that. Any questions on First Tee, my junior clinics?
I just think it's important to point out the little thing with the $5 green fees. That's a big deal to me.
That's my next portion of this. So they get signed up with the First Tee program. And, excuse me, they get a handicap through the Indiana PGA. That also registers them for the Youth on Course program, which I just did a webinar this morning to get a little stats on this. Basically, we sign up and the kids come with their Youth on Course card, and they can play for $5. Our 18-hole walking rate for juniors is $10, so we can get subsidized by this program that's through the PGA on the back end. So if I do 10 rounds, I can submit this to the Youth on Course, and they'll send us a check at the end of the month for $50. So it's a subsidized program, and just a few stats that I learned on the webinar today. 1,700 courses are involved with this program throughout the U.S. and Canada. 130,000 youth members that will get the USGA handicap. 42% of these kids are playing with a full paying adult. So even though they're paying $5, grandpa might be coming with them and paying the full rate. 51% are 14 to 18. So if you look at the age groups in my junior clinics, once we get to that 12-year-old, the kids kind of get lost. This kind of picks them up there, the Youth on Course. So it's more them coming out and playing, giving them incentives to play. And as well as the 1,700 courses, so if they're on vacation down in Tennessee, they could probably find courses down there, to go play as well. The fundraising, I thought this was something kind of neat I learned. Mainly comprised of individual gifts, but there are, Golf Now has gotten involved with the Youth on Course program. So we have, there's a special code that the kids can enter and look on Golf Now, and it'll be specific $5 tee times that they can book on Golf Now and come to the course. And Golf Now has also got a program where they can round up their fees. So if it comes out to $35.60, they can elect to round up and give the 40 cents to the Youth on Course program. So I thought that was kind of neat. We're heavily involved with Golf Now, and I was happy to see that Golf Now is kind of back in this program a little bit. So that kind of finishes my junior golf. Any questions on junior golf program. The other thing about the first tee program, the second phase of it is I'm purchasing equipment that can be used indoors or outdoors. And so the idea and the second phase of it is to take this program into the high schools, or actually not in the high schools, really it's designed more for middle schools. But basically they're trying to make it part of the curriculum with the PE classes they'll train the actual phys ed teachers at the schools. There's a buy-in for each school building, but I can take this package of golf clubs and move it around. So if y'all were to buy in, we can take it there. I can take it over to the junior high. I can take it out to Southwestern. But they give support to the PE teachers in the schools to help them kind of introduce golf, you know, at an earlier age. Kind of designed more for middle school and elementary school. But that is kind of one of the next phases. So once we get comfortable with my clinics at the green grass, then we're going to start stretching out and kind of take it into the school system as well.
So if I have a kid that would like to do the first tee program, I promise this is my last question, Phil. But he doesn't have clubs because mom's not willing to put in $300 in clubs. Would you would have access to a
Yes.
some?
Yes.
Okay.
When I first started, the Wooden Group gave me some money, and their only stipulation was that I use this money to support junior golf.
Okay.
And the package that I'm getting ready to buy from them is about $2,700, but it's all the clubs that will need to do the clinics inside and outside.
Okay, perfect.
I have one question
Yes.
on the junior golf. The Indiana Golf Tour, or the youth and junior tour, have they contacted you about dates as well?
Yes, we
Like in
booked a date.
August-ish or something, I think?
Yeah, we booked it, I think it's late June or July, but I do have that on the books. I was hoping, to make it a little more profitable for the course, but we get, most of our money out of that. They have some food and beverage money, but really most of the money comes out of spectator cards. So that's one of my challenges on those events is we ran out of carts last year. I'm trying to figure out, how we can, not necessarily make extra money, but I hate to turn away people that are, you know, the parents, especially elderly grandparents that want to watch their, you know, grandson or granddaughter go play. And I'm limited to 35 cart fleet, so we sold out last year. Had the same problem with the girls golf invitational. So that's something that the golf board is working on, and we're looking for an angle. To bring in a tournament fleet cart, it's going to be $65 to $75, and we're only charging $25 for a cart, so it's not really profitable to bring in extra carts. So I don't know if it could be, you know, donations from the community to let them use their personal carts or something like that. But it's something we're working on to help maximize the revenues on those junior golf days.
Good.
Thank you,
All
Roger.
good? Thank you.
Okay, the next part, the deputy director reports, Mr. Icy.
Hello, board. So for facility updates, Rucker Sports Complex from January to now, we've been working to give those fields up there a major facelift, a much needed one as well. And in doing that, we've made them capable, or we've made the complex capable of hosting travel baseball and softball tournaments for all age groups. These field improvements include edging all of the fields and putting ag lime around the perimeters, which make a warning track for foul balls or home runs. Making the infields on fields 3 and 5 bigger, which now give us 3 fields with movable bases for travel tournaments. We've also added a much more field mix to all the fields, making them less muddy and giving the fields an overall cleaner look. I want to give Tony Sorrells and the street department a big thank you, as well as Mike Cosby and Delbert Taylor and the Department of Corrections crews that were able to help us get Rucker looking like a state-of-the-art facility. For Kiwanis, as we've discussed at the last board meeting, the quotes we received for our Kiwanis project were well beyond our budget. Matt and I have talked, and we think we have found a solution. Still keep the press box the same, keep the same coloring for that. We already have the paint for that, so that won't be an issue. But for the fencing itself, we found a black coating that you can put on steel fencing. Makes it look really nice, makes it look like it's a black fence like we had all planned on getting down there. And doing this will make that area stand out in a pretty good way. And we've also got some volunteers from Ivy Tech coming this month to help us with the painting on that project. So that should be getting taken care of pretty soon. For programming, with senior programming, we've got some great news coming from our senior center. We will have consistent meals coming to our senior center. Lifetime Resources and the Boys and Girls Club have made a contract with Hanover College to get warm meals to our senior center 2 to 3 days out of the week. We know Hanover College will have breaks where they will not be able to serve the meals. However, Lifetime Resources has assured us that they will be responsible for finding alternative providers when Hanover does decide to go on break. Senior dances are still running, and we're having solid turnouts there. And then we've also got our pickleball and exercise classes doing well with senior attendance in those. Adult programming, as I just mentioned, pickleball and exercise classes are doing very well. And then our adult basketball league is also going very well. Our 8-team league has ran smoothly these last 6 weeks, and we are just 2 weeks away from starting our postseason. So that'll be fun. I highly recommend you all to come check out those games because they can be pretty thrilling. For youth programming, we still have the remainder of this week for registration for softball, baseball, and t-ball. For baseball, we have more enrollments than we did last year, so we're starting to see a step in the right direction with baseball enrollments. But with softball, we're still a little lower than what we would like, but we've made a very strong push in recruitment the last couple of weeks. I've gone to a couple of different schools to talk about what our programming can provide for those kids. So we should see a push in our registration numbers. Our T-ball program has had they have 84 kids as of today enrolled, which is huge because the city of Madison, our Parks Department, we've not offered a T-ball program in over 20 years. So to have this many children participating in a new program it's great. And just kind of in summary, what I really want to get out to everybody, as of now, we have 250 kids enrolled in baseball, softball, and t-ball from top to bottom, which is more than we had enrolled last year at this point. And like I mentioned earlier, with still this week remaining left for registration, I would bet it's safe to say we will have over 250 kids in our program when we start. Do you all have any questions?
Did we open up our bathrooms on Friday? Did that get done?
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
No, I'd like to first comment, I think it was good you got out to the schools. I think that should be something you could do earlier and every year.
Mm-hmm.
Working with the schools on getting in there during the right time to promote it. And then have you guys, or can we at least get a quote on turfing the fields at the complex for future down the road, more of a master plan? Saraland, there's got to be somebody up there you can reach out to see what the cost is for one field.
Yeah.
And then potentially look at how to cover that, whether it's budget or whether it's donors.
Okay.
I just think that's something that would give Rucker more than just a facelift and an opportunity to bring teams from outside.
Yeah, I'm working with Ratio right now on the master planning, and so they've asked for different options, opportunities, what are we looking at, and so we've been all over the spectrum, and that's one thing that we've thrown out there. It's something I've got a rough idea on what that possibility could equate to. It would be substantial, and we would probably just be looking at the youth fields first.
Yeah.
We would even explore the opportunities if it was just a field versus the whole field itself. So there's a couple of different scenarios with that, but as we learn more information, we can kind of share that and see if that's something that we'd like to pursue. And I'll just say too, with the work that they're putting in at the complex, it's a night and day difference between the portable youth mounds that we have now, and it's the work that they've been able to do with Tony Sorrell's kind of manning that and being able to throw more labor at it. So it's not just Bobo up there by himself, but they've been able to have the DMC crews, a bunch of the other street departments, and the parks guys as well. When I was up there last week, there were 20 people out there cutting sod, putting ag line down, edging everything, making it just look really, really pristine and kind of bring that back to life. So
I think that's a great step in the right direction. I don't want to jump over with the turf comment,
Yeah.
but I think that's a huge positive.
yeah, even if we do turf, we've got to upgrade for the, that would still be a couple years down the road before you can do that. Especially when you look at the irrigation and everything and take on the below layers.
Right.
To even get to the turf portion. So this is a great step in the right direction. And if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it, I really encourage you to, because it's come a long way.
And they've also, I mean, there's been things up there that have been giving us problems for years now, and they've just been untouched. And they've also solved a lot of those problems and fixed a lot of the things that have been giving us trouble up there. So, yeah, we're definitely moving in the right direction with that facility. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, the director report, Mr. Bullard.
Good afternoon, board. Starting off with our city campground. We opened that up here on April 1st, this past Friday. We're going to run through Sunday, October 30th this year. Doug's been working on that for a couple weeks now, moved his camper down there, just getting the overall site prepped and ready for our first guests that have arrived this past weekend. And if you'll skip a little bit forward to I've put together the overall P&L so far for the campground. I'll give you guys kind of monthly breakdowns as we go forward, but I just want to give you a glimpse of what our off season is looking like. We've talked about what our profits were for previous years. I mean, we've almost eclipsed what we did in 2020 just in our first 3 months, and we're already halfway to where we were last year in 2021. And that is, again, with our new platform and everything, so there's some additional fees and such, but our overall thought process behind it was trying to increase occupancy by 20%. And in doing so, we'd be able to increase our revenue, even though our expenses may go up slightly, should be more than offset by the new additional revenue that we see. With the campground though, some of the things that we are still focusing on is with some upgrades and trying to reinvest these profits that we've seen over the past couple of years. So we started off with 3 quotes. Some accessibility is something that we're trying to focus on here with our parks. Looking at doing some concrete staircases with iron handrails that go down the center of that. So this would go from your front sites, 1 through 18, down to that bottom grass portion that's used for sometimes parking, picnics, the kids playing, fishing down there, you name it. So instead of trying to walk all the way around the outskirts of the campground or trying to climb down the rocks that are there in the middle, we wanted to make that a little bit more accessible and do some concrete stairs. So we've narrowed this down to 1 contractor, and right now we have so far accepted that proposal, and we're just looking at timing as to what's going to be the best and not to be invasive with our campers. But given the time frame, I think we still have some time to be able to accomplish that here in April. The other things that we're looking, doing some other kind of minor cosmetic work. I've got a couple different quotes here for epoxy flooring, trying to do here for the bathhouse. Doug's done a great job getting that clean. Ultimately though, that bathhouse is 60 years old and there's only so much lipstick that we can put on it. But we're doing everything that we can for the time being, and so hopefully we can justify giving that a little bit more life, just kind of like what we're doing here with Rucker, just trying to reinvest a little bit and keep it going. And then the last thing that we're looking to reinvest here is with our landscaping. So I'm working on an overall kind of landscaping and maintenance plan across park-wide, but one spot that we can really focus on and maybe put a little bit more funds into it would be with the campground, with these kind of profits that we've seen. It makes no sense to have those sitting idly by when we can reinvest right back into the parks. So working with a couple different companies on that. Again, this is going to be a timing thing. We're calling for snow on Saturday, so it just kind of depends with our spring floods and with the weather as to how quickly we can progress with that landscaping. For Sunrise Golf Course, as you've heard, Roger's got a lot of things that are in the works right now. One thing that I'll say to him, as you kind of look at the month expense report, so far through the first 3 months, we're only averaging about $22,000 $24,000 in our overall expenses, which is down by $20,000 from last year. And a lot of that has fallen on his shoulders because he's kind of a one-man army right now, which isn't fair to him to say, but he's doing an excellent job, and we are going to get him fully staffed as soon as we possibly can. But so far, we're tracking very, very well. We've already done over $127,000 in income, and you can see the breakdown there on our season passes. 4 of the 6, we're already over the halfway point. So we're going to keep trying to progress with that, trying to hit with all of our emails, our social media platforms, the websites, and then having the flyers throughout town, and really just, again, reinvesting into Sunrise, trying to make that the best municipal course that we can in Southern Indiana. Looking ahead at our parks general, so Madison Sports Courts, Charlie Ferguson is putting on our Monday Night Pickleball League again. This is back and is going to take place from April 11th through June 20th. This is going to be 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Monday nights. And so far he's already got 35 people signed up. So we're going to be looking to have another strong showing for our pickleball group. For Oak Hill, something that the city has recently announced, kind of falls under our domain. Some exciting improvements that are going to be coming to the Oak Hill neighborhood. This project actually began today and is going to last through the end of August. The focus is going to be on the overall infrastructure of the neighborhood, including the sidewalks, curbs, gutter replacements, ADA accessible ramps on all sidewalks and streets, and then the streets themselves being paved and milled. So Oak Hills Park is kind of where we're going to fall into place with that overall infrastructure. Is intended to be upgraded after this project is complete, and we're actively working through those plans. So they're holding the city's holding an open house. This was originally scheduled for Saturday, but because of weather, that's been rescheduled, and so now that is going to be on. It's going to be rescheduled for Tuesday afternoon at 6 p.m. So just kind of doing a cookout and having an information session there for the residents of that area. For our master plan, as we were kind of discussing earlier, that's something else we're working on right now with our planning department and Nicole Shell, and then our consultation firm, Ratio Architecture, on finalizing those plans. This is officially due in 2 weeks, so there's been a lot of back and forth of us making edits, planning, Ratio, and all kind of collaborating with that. But the big remaining work that we have to finish is the financing on capital planning, something like Phil that you brought up about the turf. Something like that can really throw off all of our finances and what that overall capital plan is going to look like, because we do have a kind of wish list, but we also have realistic what can we get done and what's our time frame going to look like, how is the funding going to be sourced. It's nice to say that grants would be the best way to go, but those take matching funds. They aren't always 100%. Most of the time it's 50-50, 70-30, you name it. So we've got to figure out what's going to be the most feasible way to accomplish these. But that's where we're at, and it's kind of like we've talked about for a long time. We've inherited a lot of deferred maintenance across our entire park system, so everything needs done, and we're kind of trying to work our way down the list and do highest priority first. Really trying to reinvest into these neighborhood parks that have been kind of sucked dry from our Rucker Sports Complex and our Sunrise that's been leaking money for quite some time. But as we kind of progress through that in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to update the board, and then we'll be able to come back with some more firm things as soon as we hear back from DNR on the overall plan, once they receive that and they review it. And then for our Crystal Beach, so I was able to attend a walkthrough on this past Thursday, and so lost my place. This past Thursday afternoon to see how everything was progressing with those overall renovations. Great strides are being taken with the overall pool house. We've really made a lot of progress with both sets of locker rooms, with the bathrooms, the staffing area inside there, and then with the upstairs of the pool house. As for the physical pool, the liner has been removed. Concrete underneath is in worse condition than we anticipated. That was one of our fears kind of entering into this. But as such, our project managers are in constant contact with the engineers and contractors to make sure that we can still hit our deadline at the end of May. But got a pool of lifeguards that have applied, and they're working through all the proper classes. Then I'm narrowing in on a person possibly for our Crystal Beach manager. So we'll kind of continue to keep everyone updated as we learn more information about that. And then lastly for me, As we kind of brought up again, everything in terms of our staffing is still open on our city's website, and then on our social media pages, we have all the links. So this would be all seasonal stuff. So Crystal Beach manager, assistant managers, lifeguards, concession and front desk. At Rucker Sports Complex with our baseball, softball, t-ball about to start up, officials, concessions, scorekeepers, general maintenance. Sunrise, general maintenance, pro shop and grill, and then cart personnel. And then something else we brought up again, I think at the last meeting, City Hall with the summer internship of helping Chad out at night with the various programs that we have going on. And then also here in City Hall as we try to promote our overall online presence, our social medias and that sort of thing. Board, do you have any questions for me?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is on officials. So I know that's as us in the sports world are getting into, it's pretty tough to find them. I think I talked a little bit to Mr. Eisen, and hopefully me and him can start working, because us Shaw Southwestern require licensed officials for us. And when I was talking to some people, they said that they will pay for some of that certification, which would help you guys in the long run. So sometime in the next couple of weeks, we need to really take advantage of it. Another thing, when you're talking about Crystal Beach, which kind of rang a light, I know that we had some concerns about the mural. So I know that that was probably taken down by now. Do we have ideas of protecting it until we can make a plan?
Yeah, that was on, it backed up to Crystal Beach swimming pool, but that was actually technically on private property. And during the construction, they're working on stuff as well, just like we are with Crystal. That has been taken down and removed, but we have recovered that, so that is sitting right now with our street department down at the city garage. So we are restoring it for the time being until we can determine the best way and showcase that, utilize it.
I just want to make sure, because I know it was a comment.
Absolutely.
And as of today, you think that we can still open on the Crystal Beach date that we had mentioned, to May, whatever?
That's our goal. The contractors and the engineers know much more than I do. Me just kind of being able to take a brief look at it doesn't mean a whole lot. All I know is they've made a tremendous amount of progress from the last time that I saw it. So everything is pointing
On
that direction.
schedule, as far as you know?
As far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Thank you, board.
Last part we have is public comment, so if anyone has any comment, please approach the podium.
Is this about the senior center? I have a comment. I started the center down here,
You
and
wanna come on up to
Can you
the
come on up to the
podium?
podium?
oh, do I
microphone?
need to?
Yes, you do.
I'm
We
crippled.
all want to hear what you have to say.
I'm 90 years old and crippled. So, what I understand you're doing now is not much at the local center, like playing cards and bingo, which wouldn't be my thing, but anyway. At that time, the county commissioners bought me a van and a account to maintain it, and I'll read some of the things I had going on there. Welfare, counseling, legal aid, information referral, home care, personal goodwill, telephone reassurance, transportation, recreation, and credit stop. People on the left side of that building, local senior citizens, did their thing and put their articles in the shop, which I maintained in it. They got all the money for their works other than 10% going to run the program. And I guess it's not doing anything now. And there's been one exception of the implementation of a program, which is the nutrition program. And that was the back of the building, which had not been added on. So at the time, the special projects administrator and myself wrote a grant to get the nutrition program going, and we did. And I had a monthly pitch-in, which brought in 100 people a month, and I know there's nothing like that now, and I hate it because it's not doing enough. I don't know is there someone in charge of the center who Do they do any work down there at all or not? Any programs?
So Gary Hewitt is our senior liaison. He's the one who's at the senior center throughout the week when we have it open. He's the one who's has the bingo nights with them, who plays the cards with them.
Speak up.
He's the one who plays bingo, or he has the bingo set up for them. He has the cards set up for them. He's got the he's down there. He's in charge of the senior center. That's who
How
we
many
have.
hours a day does he work? I worked 8 to 5 and made calls at night and the weekend took care of the craft center.
I'd say I think most of the time he's 9 to 4. That's when he's in there.
But he's not there every day.
No.
Okay. I would hate for the center to move because that was given from First Federal to the city of Madison for $1. And it was to be used as a senior center. That was specified. I don't have those paperwork with me tonight, but I do have my home. And I had, then we got the nutrition going, the renovation program and river cutting of the building on March 9th, 1975, plus the advertising bids for kitchen equipment. So Hank Bibbs and I wrote a grant and got the kitchen equipment there. And so it's very well equipped for programs, for meals. And by the way, council people, that was a 5-county area, and I understand from my friends in other places, 4 counties are getting the meals, but Jefferson County is not. Can you give me an answer on why it isn't?
So as I said in my report, we do have meals lined up for the senior center now. Last we talked with them was last week, and they said it'd be the first week of April that they'd have meals down there. So if they're not in there this week, I'm sure they will be in there next week.
Because particularly a lot of people downtown, our older people, walk to the center. So, I would hate for it to move on the hill. And like I say, I do have the papers at home where that was given as a senior center to be there forever.
And we would be the ones making that decision if we ever moved them out, and we've not once discussed that. That's the senior center, and we plan on keeping it down there for the seniors.
And I understand parking was a problem. And I was there 8.5 years. We picked up people from Jefferson County, Kent, Indiana. A lot of seniors came in from there. And I drove the van part of the time, but I had 2 drivers. One through the grant, and then I had 2 green thumb workers under me, and I had one at the seed program, and so on. And I presume, and I don't remember, that the van probably double parked and let the people in, or a building away, there's a parking lot, so anyone who could have walked would have probably came that way. And so I would hate to see the building moved to anywhere. I have a letter here from Lee Hamilton. He used to come to the center quite a bit. It was always a pleasure to come to the Madison Senior Center and to see you and other friends. You're doing a good job with older persons in Jefferson County. I always enjoy my sessions with them in the center. Please convey to your staff my appreciation for the good work and let me know whenever I can be helpful. With warm regards, Lee Hamilton. And actually, even though I'm a Democratic Precinct Committee person, which I'm trying to get rid of the job if anyone wants to volunteer, I was hired under Brooks Davis and Dr. Zink's daughter, Leanne Zink, who is Leanne White now, and then I worked under the administration. And Don Yvonne and I and his wife are very good friends. So just because I'm a Democrat Precinct Committeeman, I have a lot of Republican friends. And the son who just brought me, he is a Republican. But anyway, I haven't converted him, and I don't care because I like both parties very much. Any questions?
So your concerns was the nutrition, right?
I can't hear you.
So your concerns were that the nutrition be reinstated,
Right.
correct? Which he said is gonna start anytime.
Right.
And then what were your other concerns, like
Well,
specifically?
the center doesn't move, particularly on the
Okay.
hill or
And
something
we
like
have
that.
no-
That would be disastrous.
That would have just been a rumor, okay? Was there anything else that we need to reassure you about?
You can't come in the back door, but I preferred that people came in the front, other than people connected with the nutrition program. And that was through, Area 12, I believe at that time.
Okay,
Okay.
so do you feel good about the responses that we are gonna have food and that we're not moving the center? Or-
Okay, that's
You're-
what my main concern.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm really glad to hear the progress on the senior center. Please make sure people know about it. So, and not all seniors do social media, so some phone calls and things will be really appreciated. And then also I share your concerns about the pool. And again, I'm curious how many pool passes you've actually sold so far.
We've only sold a few so far.
Yeah, so we will, when we get closer to finding out if it's really gonna open, I really want you to think about not limiting pool passes to people just 65 and older. There are a lot of adults in this community that would like to be able to have a pool pass. And also making sure the pool, should it open even the end of May, to close it the 7th of August is a waste of $2.5 million. So, I've given Matt some ideas. Certainly some people here last month had some ideas. Doesn't have to open at noon when kids are in school. It can open 4 o'clock and stay open till 8. That's the hottest time of the day anyway. But the hottest months of the year when we will get maximum ability to use the pool is going to be August and September. So please keep that in mind, and I'll be back next month. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Any more comment? Any more from? Well then, I
Thank
guess
you.
the meeting is to go for adjournment. The next meeting will be May 2nd, 2022 at 5 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
So thank you and see everyone next month.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
Comment on the extended pool thing, everybody would love to have it over Labor Day. That's the thing is that,
It takes some places.
that's the thing is that the weather gets weird.
Tell them.
And attendance really